Hello everybody. Today I am going to show you what's going on in my makeup box. As you know, I have this makeup box. If you've watched my channel, it looks familiar. Glass on the outside and velvet on the inside. I've made myself little compartments here by using boxes just to divvy it up so that it makes sense to me. And I will be showing you and swatching some of the stuff that I have in here to show you what I've been gravitating towards, what I've been using, and also to point out some things that might not make it into my long-term storage of the stuff that I actually really love. So let's put that aside, and I will show you what I have in there. So let us start with bases. First, I have two bases. One of them is a tried and true, and one of them is a maybe. I'm not really sure if I'm going to keep it. So the tried and true, of course, is Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue Tinted Hydrating Gel Cream, SPF 30, in the color Opal. I think I might go down a shade. I've been opal for a while, but I've been noticing as I'm getting older, my skin is getting a little bit darker, kind of all over, including my face. Although I use sunscreen all the time, please use your sunscreen. Not just in makeup, but actual sunscreen underneath makeup. I still really like this, but I think I might need a step down in shade. I am finishing it up. This is in my project pan. I'm doing it. I don't think there's a lot left, so I am definitely going to finish it off soon. I'll show you the two bases next to each other. So here is Opal from Bare Minerals. It leaves a very nicely hydrated look on the skin, but it sets and you don't have this sensation of stickiness on your face at all. This is a great thing about this particular product. It just is so nice when it sets completely, and it wears quite well. It doesn't wear, you know, a 12-hour day. For me, it doesn't do that, of course, but it does wear a normal maybe 6 to 8 hour day. My days are never 6 to 8 hours, but I don't really mind a bit of breakdown in product or when it's wearing off. This is wearing off really gracefully, so I don't actually mind products wearing off because you can't really count on something being in your face for 12 hours and being okay. And the second thing that I have right now, I'm working on figuring out if I can figure out a way to use it basically. This is Kosas Tinted Face Oil, and my color is the color 01. The lightest shade, I think it's the lightest shade. Yeah, it must be. So this is a very fluid oil-based base, basically. Tati really likes it. For me, I'm not sure. I think it's a little bit off in terms of how it performs on dry skin. It is quite hydrating, but the problem is it does cling to dry skin a little bit, and I have dry patches during winter, so I'm not really sure how they created a hydrating makeup that, you know, is not flaky skin friendly, because supposedly it's probably good for dry skin, but if it's not flake friendly, then what's the point? Most of us dry skin girls do have flaky patches sometimes. So as you can see, this one's set completely and it's not tacky. It transfers a touch, but not too much. So this is set already. I'll leave the Kosas one on my hand for a minute to see how that one sets compared to the Bare Minerals. Bare Minerals is a little bit more pink and the Kosas one is a little bit more yellow. Kosas right now probably is a better match for me. So let's let this set for now. Meanwhile, let me tell you about the third base that I have in here, and that is a cushion. I do consider those different from each other. They're quite different formulations. All of them are lightweight though, so that's something they have in common. This is IOP cushion, and this is my second cushion of this brand in this color. This is C21, cover vanilla. This is Air Cushion XP Broad Spectrum SPF 50. Nice. So as you can see, you keep the compact and that just kind of opens up. If you want to pop it out, you just press on the back of it and it pops out, and you can change the inside of it, but you can keep the compact. So let's see how this applies compared to the other two. We just grab a little bit, and I'm going to put it right next to my Bare Minerals. This is a very nice satin finish, but much longer wearing. Specifically, this cushion is long wearing. A lot of cushions are very hydrating and very sheer. Not this particular one, the XP one. Is it XP? Hold on, I already forgot what it's called. Air Cushion XP, yeah. Specifically, this formula from IOP is actually quite self-setting. It's a good color for me right now. It's self-setting and it's satin, but on the matter side of satin. As you can see, it's kind of satin over here. Then we go to the Bare Minerals, which is a bit more dewy. And then we go to Kosas, which is still a little more dewy. It's not really setting. I think I'm going to give up. So Kosas doesn't really set. That's one of the problems with it. It doesn't really set and it can get streaky, as you can see. You know, you can still have streaks over it, whereas Bare Minerals is just there and it's going to stay there. Kosas can travel around your face. I'm not really sure what I feel about this. I'm going to try to wear it in a very, very, very light layer and see if I don't basically build any coverage, how it's going to fare. Right now, I'm on the fence and I'm not all that impressed with it, to be honest with you. I might get rid of it. So out of these three, these two are definite keepers. This one is it might go. Okay, moving forward to concealers. I have two in here. Let me zoom in. So these two are the concealers that I'm currently using in this makeup box. This one is actually a Physicians Formula Depotted Concealer, this Insta Ready one in the lightest shade, which is pretty dark actually. And the pump in that one was atrocious, so I had to find myself a different vessel to hold it. It's kind of thick, but a little bit moisturizing, which works really well if you want to have an all-over face situation. And I think this does well. It doesn't really quite set, but it does work fairly well with a decent amount of coverage, probably high-medium coverage. And you see it just completely canceled out whatever was underneath, like all the veins. And it does wear quite well. Let's keep that and show you the other one. This is a mini of the Benefit Buoying Brightening Concealer, number 1. This is a good under eye concealer for me. It's a peachy sort of deal, you know, those color correctors for under the eyes. I really like it too. And this one is more self-setting than the other one. And it has a really, really nice, pretty finish. I really like both of them. But if I had to pick, of course, even for under the eyes, I would pick the Benefit one. It just wears a little bit better. This one will eventually set a little bit more and wear fairly well, but it does need powder over it to make it last. So those two are really different. I'm not so sure that I would be running to repurchase the Insta Ready one from Physicians Formula. It's pretty good, but it's not amazing, really. The Buoying is a maybe. If I run out of it and I miss it, I'll buy it again. Insta Ready one, probably won't. One more base kind of product is this Physicians Formula the Healthy Powder. This, I believe, is their lightest shade. It has SPF 16. I do like their talc-free formula just a little bit more, although they're very similar. I think I do prefer the talc-free powder. You can see that I'm going to hit pan fairly soon. There's not really a lot of product here. It's only 7.8 grams. So the powder is quite creamy. It does have some coverage, as you can see. It does buff out to a pretty, not sheeny finish, but skin-like finish. You know, it's not super mattifying, which is good for the dry skin that I have. So all in all, I think it's a good powder for dry skin. I think now that I've used it for a while, I do prefer how the talc-free formula sits on my skin from Physicians Formula. So if I'm going to repurchase one, I will repurchase that other one and not this one. I have to say, on camera, the packaging looks kind of cute. In real life, it's very cheap plastic, so don't be fooled if you do like nice packaging. Sometimes Physicians Formula turns out really nice packaging, but this is not one of those times. This is quite cheap feeling. Maybe we'll start with a bronzer. What I have here is this little mini. This is Becca Bronzed Bondi Bronzer. Let me zoom in since it's a mini to see it a little bit better. So Bronzed Bondi Bronzer from Becca, holy crap, hard to say, is one of these red undertone sheeny bronzers that don't have glitter but do have that skin-like finish that I like. And it's very buildable, which is also what I like for a bronzer. I don't love bronzers that are very sort of obvious on skin. This one can be buffed out into something quite natural, and it could be your one cheek color. It doesn't have to be, you know, you don't have to wear a blush with this because it does have this red undertone. You just look sun-kissed and very, very pretty. I think this probably works well for people with neutral to cool, light to fair skin. I think you need to check out another color if you're darker because it might not show up on you. Obviously, you can see on the swatch it's quite sheer, relatively sheer that is. So for me, I might repurchase this once I run out of this mini. I do have quite a few bronzers. I'll show you all of my bronzers sometime soon. Now that I have set up my overhead shooting, I can show you all of my bronzers and swatch them. I do have a bronzer excess right now, so I'll probably wait with this, but it's repurchase worthy for sure. I think so. Let's look at another bronzer-like product that I have here. This is not a bronzer, obviously. This is Guerlain Meteorites. If you're, you know, a junkie of Guerlain, you know that I'm collecting. You might know that I'm collecting these meteorites for a long time. So I can't not buy them. I love everything about this product. I love the scent. I love the pearls. I love the packaging. I like the premise. It's just, this is the product that I collect. I don't collect anything else at all, like at all. I don't have any collection apart from my meteorites collection. So this is the newest one. This is the Golden Land one. And this is an interesting pick, I think, for me, because I was not interested at all in anything else from the Golden Land collection at all. I'm struggling liking certain things that Guerlain has been coming up with. Some releases are fabulous, some are cheap and weird. This is a good release, good limited edition release. So this one is another one of my bronzers. This is a bronzer that I can use if I want a really, really subtle look. Again, very, very beautiful bronzy pearls here. So good for dark skin tones. I think you will find if you do have a darker skin tone that this looks quite pretty on your skin. For me, it's going to be definitely a bronzer. So I'm going to pick a few. So I'm going to pick up some of this dust and show you how it swatches on my fair skin. It swatches like a blush bronzer. It does have this light diffusing capacity. You can see it's not really glittery, but it is very light diffusing. It does blur pores somehow just a little bit. And if you build it up, it really can be your one cheek color. So this one is a little bit too colorful for me to wear as a finishing powder all over or as a setting powder. For dry skin, you can use finishing powders as setting powders because, well, we don't really need a lot of oil absorbing components. And these are not going to give you any absorbing, but they will give you this beautiful, glowy, light diffusing look. I can't complain about pricing. That's what I can complain about. But at the same time, you know, it's, for me, it's a collectible item and I do use it. So right now this works as my very subtle bronzer if I want something that is barely detectable but still keeps you looking a little fresh. The setting powder, or well, this is really the finishing powder, but I use it as a setting powder again because I have dry skin, is this Guerlain Mini in Meteorite Pearls 01 Teint Rose. So this is the lightest color. Let me show you there. This is the lightest color they make, and this is their regular lineup. You can buy this at any time, so it's not limited edition. And you have these really light pearls, a little bit of color correction, and again, this light diffusing capacity, but this time it's quite light. I would say if you're dark skin toned, please get a couple of steps down in terms of tone and color. They do have a few shades. If you're very richly pigmented, then I'm not sure if you're going to find something that is going to suit you in their lineup, but they do have bronzy sort of finishing powders as well. Now you can see how nicely this diffuses light, and that works really, really well as a finishing powder on my skin tone. Once I use up this mini, I probably will move on to the same powder but in the full size. It's just really convenient for the small one to put it into you know, my box. Let's pull some blushes. Let's start with creams. These are the two creams. Well, one is a cream and one is a gel, if we're being straightforward. This is by Beauty Multi-Stick in the color Cashew. I have to say, this is kind of a disappointment. I mean, I've used most of it. It's in my project pan. I'm trying to use it up. It is very richly pigmented, as you can see, hugely pigmented swatch, but unfortunately it's stiff. And although it's pigmented, it's kind of hard to blend. So that makes it a difficult product to wear as a cheek product. You can see how difficult it is to blend. It's hard. It works well on eyes. It's a multi-stick, so you can use it on lips, eyes, or cheeks. And it's just a little bit too stiff to be comfortable on the skin as anything besides like a eyelid primer. Basically, you can use it as an eyelid primer for darker looks. This one I will not be keeping, unfortunately, meaning that it is in my project pan and I'm going to use it as much as I can. And then it is going to be leaving my makeup boudoir. I'm not going to be continuing using this because, I mean, it's just too much of a hassle. Honestly, I'm not that fond of it anymore. Although I do have general fondness for By Beauty. Their lipsticks are some of the best I own, but it's just that those multi-sticks, they do not have a perfect formula for me. I'm sure maybe oily skinned people will find them long wearing and easy to work with, but for me, I mean, they just did not blend. Next is this gel blush. It is so fun. It's Lipstick Queen. Their Frog Prince Cream Blush. It's called Cream Blush, but really it's a gel. It's fun and it's in my project pan, and I've done very well finishing it up. As you can see, it appears green, but of course, if you kind of get it a little bit on your finger and then you swatch it, it becomes this berry shade on the skin. It is very, very subtle, so you can build it up, perhaps better for lighter skin tones, but you can definitely build it up to more opaque look. As you can see, it's a little bit fleshy berry shade. It blends very well, as opposed to the other one you just saw, of course. It blends really well, and it kind of stains the skin, which I appreciate. It gives it good longevity and creates a more sort of long wearing, pulled together look over the day. It does have this magnetic closure, which I really like. Excellent packaging, very minimal yet cute and girly. Love the playful green color. Some people might have an issue with it because, I mean, they don't know then what the color is going to look like, of course, because it's color changing. But for me, it's a fun product. I'm definitely going to use it up. And I'm going to look into other colors of this same formula because I really did enjoy it. The last blush to mention is this Young Blood pressed mineral blush in the color Zin. This is basically a dupe or a color sibling for Exposed by Tarte, but I do like this formula a little bit more. Again, this is a very sleek packaging. I really like it. And it's a magnetic closure, which again, I really like. It's a cute little compact. This is a full size, so their blushes are not huge. And it is this fleshy brown pink concoction, very neutral, very wearable, and most importantly, in terms of formula, it is very layerable. It is a sheer formula. Not everybody's going to like a formula that is that sheer, but for me, it's a huge plus. It means I can make it buildable and I can make it meld with the skin. It's nice to be able to layer it up to the opacity that you're interested in instead of frantically blending things back into your skin. So I usually wear it as a flush, just about this opacity or a little bit lighter. One of my favorite blushes, honestly. It's really, really nice. It's pretty firmly pressed, so you're not going to get a ton of kick up. I just got into it with the finger, which just touched, you know, a makeup wipe, unfortunately. So I've done a little damage in terms of hard pen, but I'll go with a stiff brush over it and it'll be fine. Let's continue. More cheek products. These two are, I think, the last two cheap products we have in here. So let's go with the cream first again. This is a Kosas little compact. It's called Velvet Melon, and it's one of the cream compacts from the Color and Light collection. This one is one of the few very peachy orangey colors that I have. They do have a nice mirror in there. So here we have a really peachy orangey blush and a champagne highlighter. Let's get a swatch going. You can probably tell that I've been using it. There's a bit of a divot. So this is how these guys look on fingers. And this is how they swatch on my skin. Again, fairly sheer. I think really nice as a flush. If you have really dark skin tone, you might find that you don't have enough pigment in the blush. The blush really is the limiting factor here. I think the highlighter would show up well on anyone, but you can definitely build it up for a little bit more opacity, and it does give a very pretty effect. You can shear them out, I'll show you, into pretty much nothing or very, very light flush. Just a great workable cream. They do stay a little tacky for a while, but then they get completely absorbed into skin. They don't leave a powdery finish, but they do leave a touchable, wearable finish. So these are actually quite good. I was impressed with them as opposed to their foundation. I think these are much more successful products, honestly. So let's put that aside and let's see the other highlighter that I have. This is this Laura Mercier highlighter. It's called Highlight 01 Matte Radiance Baked Powder. Honestly, nothing matte about it. It is baked though. Let's see the inside of it. Looks like that. I've been wearing it a lot, but it really hasn't flattened out at all. It does have a ton of pigment, but they do have different tones. So if you're not light-skinned, don't worry. You are going to find something in their lineup that you will be able to wear. This one is very subtle and very pretty and a very similar tone to the cream one, but I do like this particular tone right now, and I do enjoy having it in the powder form and in the cream form. Actually, let's swatch them next to each other so we can see how close they are to each other. A little bit of a fatter swatch just so we can see it a little bit better. Let's take a look at this champagne highlight. Man, they do look kind of similar. So let's see how that looks next to each other. Yeah, kind of similar. So if you blend out the Laura Mercier one, the Kosas one is really quite close. Maybe it's a little bit more golden, but not that much. Pretty interesting that they're that similar, and the effect is really similar. So I guess it depends on what you like. Do you like wearing your products creamy or dry? These are quite good. I enjoy them. All right, so let's go on, shall we? Okay, we're nearing the end soon. Let's move to eyeballs. This is a brow palette from Youngblood, and it's called Brow Artiste in the color Dark. I am off two minds about this one. I'm not that fond of it, honestly. I do love the packaging, but I think it's a waste of space, honestly. There's so few things in here, and it does occupy quite a bit of space. It's like the size of my palm, you know, it's pretty big. In the interest of saving space in my collection, I think we could do better. So let's zoom in so you can see those colors a little bit better. I like the fact that they have all the tools you need to do the brows. This brow wax sucks. I decluttered it recently in the full pot. I bought it separately and I bought it in here. I bought them at the same time. I thought I'd run out of the brow wax the fastest, of course, because it's soft texture, but then I realized I hated it, so now I have two. One I decluttered already, and this one, of course, I can't unless I declutter the whole palette, which I might do in the future. I'm not 100% sure that I am in love with it. There are two colors in here. They're very buttery, very, very pigmented. Let me show you the swatches of them. You can wear them as eyeshadows very easily. They're phenomenal brow powders. Really nice if you like a soft look, This one is a little bit dark for me. I pretty much can use this one mostly. This one I can use if I really want to emphasize the tail of the brow. But these are really good powders. I do wish they were in a different package, or perhaps like it was split down here so that I didn't have to, you know, host this side, which I resent and don't like at all. They wear pretty well. I mean, they're nice brow powders. They're not that special. They're quite creamy, but not that special, especially because it's kind of bulky. Although the packaging seems very sleek for what you're getting inside, it's a bit bulky. I'm not sure about this one quite yet. I am going to think about it. Let's talk about eyes. We have a lot going on here. First and foremost, I have to mention this honorable product. It's always in my makeup box. This is the only color I have right now. I don't think you need a lot of colors if you're just a regular makeup wearer. This is Bare Steady Pro Longwear Paint Pot from MAC. This is the best shadow base I've ever seen. As you can see, this one's been dented. I'm really using it pretty much always, unless I'm using this mess. I'm using this one always. I do prefer it, of course, I prefer it. This one is a champagne-y, very pretty color that blends into my skin nicely and holds the shadows, any shadows on top of it very, very well. It's extremely long wearing, and you can wear this particular color on its own as well because it's such a pretty champagne. I would say if you're looking for a good color base, look into these guys. They're perfect. And they do have some matte colors that can mesh with your skin tone and cancel out your lids. So these are really, these are really good jams for everybody. I think for everybody. Let's talk about eyeshadows. I have a few interesting picks here for eyeshadows, and I'm not entirely sure about all of them, but there's a lot to talk about. So let's maybe start with a palette first. This is Bare Sensuals from Bare Minerals, I guess. It's a nice big palette. Again, a little bit too big for my liking. A very interesting batch of colors, honestly. I think they're very pretty. I will show you the 5 that I think are worth having. If it was just 5-pan shadow palette, I would love it. I think it could be one of my favorites, but there is a lot of colors that I find redundant or not necessary or not really all that pretty. So I'll show you the ones I really, really enjoy. First of all, Waltz. This is an excellent gray dove colored shadow. It's a little bit sheer, but still very pretty. It's an interesting tone. You don't see that a lot. The other one that I really like is Mystify. Mystify is an excellent creamy shadow, and it has a really cool pink flash, which is difficult to show on camera, but it's really, really nice and sheeny and buffs out very well. It's an easy shadow to work with. The next one we have here that I like is Persuasion. This is a lid shade, like, whoa. It's so sheeny, it's so pretty. It makes every look just a little bit more special. I think a nice tone, easy to wear, again, easy to buff out. It's more shimmery than any of the other ones that I'm going to swatch today. So pretty, really, really, really nice color palette going on here. If I could just have them as a quint, that would be great. Next we have Catalyst. That's the other one I like. It does have those sort of rogue glitters in it. You can see, right, on my finger. Unfortunately, if you over blend it, those rogue glitters are not sticking to their place. But if you blend it just a little bit, or if you pat it, on top of itself and build it up, it kind of creates a cool look, really cool look. And it gets quite deep, so that would be the deeper shade in the palette. You can maybe see slight glimmery particles in there, which is what I'm after in that shade. That's why I like that particular one. And the last one that I really like is Upgrade. Upgrade is a beautiful taupe, really wearable silvery taupe, and those are some of my favorite colors. Again, quite sheeny, but really classy. Like, imagine this. This is like a Tom Ford selection right here. I can see Tom Ford probably has this kind of a color palette. They're just beautiful together, really nice textures, nicely blendable. And this one is less blendable, but it's because you need to pat it on to preserve the glitter, the micronized glitter that is in it. Anyway, just look at this. Like, look at this and how sort of blah it looks. And now look at this and how interesting. And it has a color story. I want this quint. I don't want this one. I want this one. Unfortunately, I like it enough for now to keep the Bare Essentials palette. I can't easily depot it because, of course, that was my initial thought. Like, oh, maybe I can just make my own and depot it the way I like it and get rid of the ones that I don't care about. I wish I had that quint, man. Yeah. And look how well those stay. I'm trying to remove it with a makeup wipe made to remove makeup, and generally it has been doing a really good job. But these are tenacious. They wear quite well, and they're long wearing shadows. The formulation is not bad. Just the color story. I mean, man, they could really, I should stop talking about it. This is a really long conversation about not a very exciting palette. Like, they could really pare it down into something super awesome, but they didn't. I'm not sure that I'm going to keep it. I'm going to continue using it for now, but I have a sneaking suspicion that I am eventually going to get rid of it. Let's see the singles. Woohoo! Let's start with this Kiara Weiss one. Super interesting. Clean luxury beauty brand. That's how you spell her name. Kiara Weiss. KW. And this one is a single shadow in magnetic. These guys you can reuse, and they're metal, they're beautiful, they're very hefty and weighty. And you can reuse them, pop out this shadow, put in another one. You can travel with that, I suppose. It's nice and small. This is an interesting shade because it is quite weirdly versatile. Let me do a swatch. I still have remainders of those other shadows here. I have to clean a little bit better. Okay, let's go for this. Look how nice it applies. It applies beautifully and it buffs out really beautifully too. Now, the interesting thing about this shade is that it goes from greeny brown into khaki into almost yellow. So as you buff it out from the lash line into the crease, you can create quite an interesting dimensional look with this satin eyeshadow, because it's not quite matte and it's not really shimmery at all. But this is one of those one shadow looks that is extremely expensive looking. Very, very cool effect. Interesting color. Again, there are greeny mustard undertones almost as you buff it out, so it reveals a lot of different shades basically as you're working with it. The next guy in our lineup is going to be this Chanel single. It's one of the last Chanel products I've ever bought, and I'm not really interested in continuing to purchase from Chanel at this very moment, at least. And this is En Première in the color 905 Electrum Lame. I mean, I'm, again, of two minds with this one. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it. I have worn it as a highlighter, because there's plenty of it. It's quite shimmery, and you would think that it would be a beautiful highlighter. And if you sort of buff it out really lightly, it can give you this cool golden look. It's really quite shimmery. I mean, it's not a natural highlighter by any measure. So I have worn it as such, but you can definitely get it to be very opaque. Again, fat swatch, and if you sort of pat it onto your lid, it can be quite bright. So I actually am thinking I might keep it for now. I don't know if I don't really reach for it or wear it very often, I'm definitely going to get rid of it. But for now, I think it's kind of cool looking. I don't know. Yellow golds are not my thing though, so maybe that's what makes me biased against it. But again, buffing it out, it really kind of is just mesmerizing to look at. For now, it's a keep in my permanent drawers of makeup. For now, it's earned its place. And the last eyeshadow I have here is this Stila eyeshadow, liquid eyeshadow. It's called Magnificent Metals Glitter and Glow. You can see it right here. And the color of this one is Shimmering Satin. It's a taupe, of course. Of course, if I'm buying a glitter, it should be some kind of an interesting glitter, but I went for a taupe. Let me swatch it on this spot here. It's going to be hell to remove. It gets everywhere as glitters do. So it's very buildable. It's opaque. This is not the best place to swatch for sure. So let's swatch over here maybe. It is super buildable. It's very opaque and is going to provide you with a crazy glitter eye. It self-adheres because it's a liquid shadow in this base. I mean, yeah, super cool looking if you like glitter, but struggle with it. Stila Magnificent Metals are a good way to go. As you can see, I've used up quite a bit of it. I don't wear glitter on everyday basis, but sometimes you just feel like popping in the middle of the lid, or maybe, you know, sometimes in the tear duct. There are many ways to use glitter in a non-intrusive, non-crazy way, but you know, you can also go nuts. That's okay, and that's allowed. So this is a good option for people who struggle with glitter. It's fun. Yeah, glitter forever. Literally, it's gonna stay with you forever. All right, let's return to the eyes. I have a gel liner that I'm thinking about right now. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it or not. This is Clinique Brush On Cream Liner. Oh, yeah, cream liner, not gel liner, I suppose, in 01 Black Honey. It's a nice, very warm red-based brown. I haven't used a ton of it. I am going to give it a try this season, and if I don't like it, I'll get rid of it. For now, I'm still curious enough about it to go ahead and put in the effort of wearing it and seeing how it goes. Let's talk lips. We have a few things for lips. Let's start with lipsticks. We have 3 lipsticks right now. Let's start with the MAC one. I'll zoom out a little bit so we can see the swatches a little bit better. So this MAC lipstick in the Luster formula is called Patisserie, and that is one of my favorite lipsticks to ever have graced this world. It's a neutral in every way pinky brown, and it's sort of semi-sheer. Easy to use, easy to wear. Whatever hair color I end up with, and you know I do switch it out quite a lot, and this goes with everything. And I think this looks good on basically everybody. I haven't seen it look bad on anybody because it's just so well balanced with the brown and the pink and a little bit of peach. It's just the perfect nude for me. I'm sure I can find similar lipsticks, but I don't know, I might repurchase it. I was thinking to myself that I probably wasn't gonna get another MAC lipstick ever, but Patisserie is an exception. It's just so good for my skin tone. The other nudie lipstick that I have going on here that I really enjoy is this one by Lipstick Queen. It's called Saint Nude. Both of them, this one and the MAC one, are very moisturizing. They're creamy, but not in the way that they travel around on your lips or outside of your lip line. They're just nice and moisturizing. Your lips feel better after having worn it than before, which is a really good thing for a lipstick to be. This one is a darker nude, very pretty color. As you can see, it's quite moisturizing, but it wears really well. And it's buildable. You can definitely build up the color. It's the same tone as Patisserie, obviously, because that's the nudes that look best on me. So I have more than one, clearly. But this one has a lot more red in it. Neutral red or maybe terracotta leaning color. So it's good for winter and autumn. So really, really pretty combo. I love both of these. Of course, I have this one from Lipstick Queen is basically new. And this one from MAC is really quite old and it's almost out. So I will be out of it pretty soon. It's in my project pan. I'll be finishing it soon. Then we have this guy, which I actually really like the product, but not the packaging. The packaging of Lipstick Queen is gorgeous. It's weighty. It's this matte metal feeling. Well, it is metal, I think. I don't think it's plastic, actually. So this feels really quite luxurious. Unfortunately, these guys don't. And this is a new acquisition for me. This is Honeybee Garden in Risque. Clean company, excellent ingredients, very good formula, glides on nicely. Unfortunately, it just feels really quite cheap in terms of its packaging. I think it's aluminum as well, but for some reason this is really lightweight and this is much more sturdy feeling. So packaging aside though, the formula of Honeybee Gardens lipsticks, apparently I love. And this is the first lipstick from Honeybee Gardens that I'm trying, but I am down with trying more because it's beautiful, very creamy, very moisturizing, easy wearing. This particular color is a blue-based red, which is what I like to wear in winter. Buildable, and you can definitely shear it out to be a stain very, very easily, and it shears out beautifully into this berry stain. Yeah, good find. Excellent, excellent in terms of color, excellent in terms of formula. Too bad about the packaging, but it's fine. I am going to get over the packaging because the formula is just that nice. The last thing that I need to show you out of this box, the last two things that you haven't seen yet, are the lip balms. I have two lip balms here. Both of them are clean luxury segment sort of clean beauty, but one is significantly crazier in terms of its pricing than the other. Let's talk about the crazy one. It's this one. It's another Kiera Weiss find. Let's zoom in so you have a good look at the packaging. It is metal, like heavy metal. It'll give you a bruise if I threw it at you from 1 meter away. So yeah, heavy duty packaging, and which is of course good because it is, like all of her packaging, reusable. You can see the pinhole, which you just sort of poke through and pop out the replaceable cartridge inside, and you can pop in whichever lip product you want because they are coming in this format, which I appreciate. It's really nice to have reusable packaging, and it's really luxurious and beautiful. This lip balm is transparent. It's nice. It's not that moisturizing. Honestly, I'm struggling to see what the fuss is about with these lip balms. It's not as good as my new Demier, and it's not even as good as this one, the one I'm going to tell you about in a second. Like, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not worth the crazy price tag that they're charging for it. Mysteriously crazy price tag. So this one, I may replace the cartridge because once you have the packaging, like this thing, the cartridges are not as expensive to replace, but I mean, this is extortion, honestly. I'm not sure that I can ever recommend this thing because of the price. It's insane. Okay, let's move on to the one I like a little bit more. This is Lip Whip by Carrie Gran, or Carrie Gran. I'm not sure. Carrie Gran, probably. Mine is dark. It's in the color Marsala, but beware, all of them are sheer. So if you're buying one, don't expect color payoff. They're whipped, lightweight textures that are quite hydrating. It does remind me of By Terry balms. Let me show you. I have them over here. So I have this guy, By Terry balm, that actually they're probably close, very close in formula. So if you love By Terry, I mean, you can try Carrie Gran, you probably like it. So this is Baume de Rose, mine is tinted in the color 5 Fig Fiction. I'll show you what it looks like, but the texture is really quite similar. The colors aren't really. This is basically purpley, and this is basically browny, but both of them have very similar consistency. Let's see. Yeah. Wow, I didn't expect to find a dupe here. Not that the dupe is very impressive because it's not like it's any cheaper. It's not a cheap dupe, it's just a formula dupe. But yeah, they're very similar feeling. And I love these guys from By Terry. So naturally, I love these guys by Carrie Gran because basically they're very similar, if not the same. So yeah, makes sense why I like it. Let's put away the By Terry one. I'm not wearing this until dead of winter. Very moisturizing. So these guys, of course, also are very moisturizing and really nice to wear on your lips. They leave the lips quite plumped and hydrated. So this little guy is quite cute to have, but certainly not a necessity. It's not like the best lip balm ever, but it is a very good tinted lip balm with not a lot of pigment. So I'm enjoying it so far, especially if you're into green clean beauty. This is one to check out. So, oh gosh, look at all this box of goodies. There's a lot going on here in terms of, colors, but pretty much I'm keeping to bronzy berries with all of the colors that I have here. This is a little bit of a maybe anomaly. I'm just mostly using the highlighter though, so I'm ignoring the peachy color for now. But in general, it's a taupey purpley kind of scene over here, which I do like. Let me know what are the essentials in your makeup bag or makeup box. For me, I do enjoy having this kind of a size of selection for what I'm using in terms of my makeup, and I just generally switch it out pretty frequently. Right now, this is kind of it. Have you tried any of this stuff, and what did you think about it? That's it for today. Phew, that was a lot of talking, man. See you guys later. Have a good day. Good luck to you. Bye bye.